Hello everybody, this is Tyler here, once again from the Other Games channel, and today with me I have an unboxing of one of the newest Sesame Street Super 7 reaction figures. This was from Wave 4, the most recent wave to come out, and this particular figure that I'm going to be showcasing is the Alligator King and his 7th son. So, I'm not gonna lie, a part of me was tempted to get the entirety of Wave 4 and do a video about it, but a part of me was like, well, what if Super 7 ever does a Wave 4 of the blind boxes, and my guess is eventually, like, one or two of the characters from Wave 4 might eventually be in a blind box wave. Maybe not the next wave, but maybe a future wave at some point, but yeah, that's my main reason for not getting the whole entire wave in one go. And also, because yeah, that's my only reason. It's not like I was going to say another reason, but no, not really. And I decided to go with the Alligator King first from the Wave 4 figures because, well, he's probably the most interesting choice of a character to make into a figure so far. And also, I decided to go with him first because, well, he's probably the one figure that's, like, least likely going to have be released in the blind boxes anytime soon. So, anyway, so take a look at the package. There's the Sesame Street logo on the top, Alligator King and the 7th son. Got some artwork of the two characters right there, and then, of course, there they are in this plastic casing right here. And it does emphasize ages 14 and up, adult collectible, not a toy, so just as a FYI for people. Anyway, so on the back of the box, it showcases all the other characters that have been released so far, including the brand new wave right here. So in Wave 1, we had Bert, Ernie, the Yip Yip Martians, and the Count. Wave 2, we had Oscar the Grouch, Guy Smiley, Cookie Monster, and Lefty the Salesman. In Wave 3, we had Big Bird, Mr. Hooper, Sherlock Hemlock, and Super Grover. And then the most recent wave, Wave 4. And since I already have the Alligator King and his 7th son, the other three figures we have in Wave 4 are Chef Cookie Monster, Roosevelt Franklin, and Elmo, who includes his doll baby David. And there's some additional info on there. So without further ado, let us get the Alligator King out of his box. And this is going to hurt a lot of people that are going to be like in-box collectors. Bet you guys are screaming like, oh my god, he's opening the box. Well, I gotta take a good look at this figure. And plus, I don't have the shelf space for the characters like in the boxes anyway, so there's that. I just realized his cape is like kind of in between the plastic of it. Actually, you know, let me get his 7th son out first, because I eventually think he'll probably be easier to remove. At least I think so. This actually may take me a while, so I'll probably cut to when I eventually get these characters out of the box. Or plastic case, should I say. Alright, so that took about a couple of minutes, but I finally managed to get both the Alligator King and his 7th son out of the plastic case. So let's take a look at, of course, the main figure of the bunch, the Alligator King himself. So, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time I've ever seen like any company do merchandise of this character from Sesame Street. And one of the reasons why I chose the Alligator King over some of the other Wave 4 characters is this is the very first time Super 7 ever made a figure of a Sesame Street character that's like not a Muppet, or in the case of Mr. Hooper, a live-action human character. First time we've ever gotten one of the animated characters made into a figure, so that's actually really awesome. And honestly, the Alligator King is probably a good choice for a figure since, well, his segment, I would say, is one of the more iconic animated segments from the show, without a doubt. So, and he looks pretty good. Very nice 3D representation of the character. Of course, his segment originated from the early 70s, so, of course, CGI wasn't a thing back then, so nobody really had any clue what he was going to look like in 3D, but Super 7, I would say, did a fantastic job rendering Alligator King himself into 3D mode. Now, very similar to the Count, his cape has a, I don't know what the texture of it is called, but it's like a very thin type of plastic. It's like a separate material than the actual figure itself. And speaking of the figure, I should have showcased the most important thing about him. Articulation. So, his head turns very well. His arms go up and down. Of course, he doesn't have any way to hold accessories, so there's that. and then his legs kind of move very similarly to how other characters in the past have, like Big Bird and Super Grover, for an example. So, yep, that's the Alligator King himself, looking really good. Nice. Just gonna set him down there, and now I'm gonna showcase what he comes with, his 7th son. Now, of course, I'm gonna have to have my hand in place so you can get a better look at him. So, there he is. So, spoiler alert for anybody who, for some reason, doesn't know about the Alligator King segment. In this segment, the Alligator King himself is feeling bad and asks all 7 of his sons to make him feel better, and it happened to be his youngest son that made him feel better. And it wasn't by giving him any gifts or anything, it was just by simply, I guess, telling him that he needs a little help and getting him back on his feet, literally speaking. So, spoiler alert, he ends up getting the crown at the very end as a reward. So, yeah, pretty good likeness of the son, I will say. Was not expecting them to actually make a figure of one of the Alligator King's sons, but they did. So that's actually really cool. And unlike the Alligator King himself, his cape is actually molded on to his body, essentially. And he also doesn't have any sort of articulation like the Alligator King himself. So, yep, that is a brief look at the Alligator King's 7th son. And I gotta say, overall, really, really cool. New addition to the Sesame Street Super 7 line, and I definitely at some point I do plan on getting some of the other Wave 4 characters in due time. As I said before, there's a good chance they're probably going to have at least 1 or 2 of the characters be in a future wave of the blind boxes, so I'm going to wait until that happens. But yeah, really cool, and yep, I will actually showcase to you what the Alligator King looks like next to my other Super 7 Sesame Street figures. Alright, so I'm going to need to eventually reorganize my shelf because I'm starting to run out of room to display these guys, but here is the Alligator King right next to some of the other Super 7 Sesame Street figures that I have currently, and then of course you can briefly see the NECA figures right in the back. Unrelated, but at the same time related, since, you know, same brand, different company. So yeah, there he is right next to them, and yeah, like I said, glad to finally have him in the collection, and honestly, for me, this kind of opens up the floodgates a bit when it comes to which characters from the show are going to be made in the future as a figure. Like, I'm hoping, like, Alligator King isn't the only animated character they make into a figure. I would love to see some other more iconic animated characters made into figures, like, especially Typewriter. He's probably my most requested animated character made into a figure, so yeah, not much else to say. Really glad to have the Alligator King and his 7th son in my collection. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments, are you guys planning on getting the Alligator King for yourself? Are you planning on getting any other Wave 4 figures? Let me know down below. That's about it for this video. Stay tuned for more content to come on this channel, and this is Tyler from the Other Games channel, signing out.